Hello, students. Welcome. I hope you're all doing well, and I hope you all have been doing your practices and being prepared for your exam, which is just in about a few days. So we are going to begin our session, but before we get into that, please go ahead and share with me the school that you're joining in from in the chat, so I know where my PEP stars are logging in from. Also, I want for the persons who are practically new here, or the persons who are in grades 4 and grade 5 and will be doing their performance task in June. There is a session, so I am actually doing the advertisement here for those who have not yet subscribed and will not have seen this ad, that there are sessions for grades 4 students, grade 5 students, but these are private Zoom classes. The information to register is here, and there are limited spaces available, so you must register early. All right, so let's get into our questions today. So I see students coming in from Foundation Prep, Kendall, Alpha Santa Cruz Prep, Praise Chapel, Kindergarten and Prep. All right, so I want to welcome you all, and I hope you would have shared the live so that your friends and classmates are also able to benefit from today's lesson. So as I said, today's the last lesson on curriculum-based tasks. All other lessons that are to come will be performance task based, but as soon as these private lessons begin, there will not be much performance task lessons here on YouTube, if any at all. All right, so our first question is this. We have a table showing t-shirts and the prices for them, so sale items. And the question being asked here is, what is the mean price of the t-shirts? Of course, by now we all know about mean price, what mean price means. So let's go right ahead and let us go ahead and talk about the mean price. So the sale items that we have t-shirts. We have the Science Club t-shirt for $15, Student Council t-shirt for $13, Reading Classic t-shirt for $9, and Math Club t-shirt for $15. Now, what I want is for you to calculate and tell me what is the mean price of the t-shirts. All right. Welcome, Private Primary, Trenchtown, Ensom City, Denby, St. Richards, Hopewell, Victoria Primary, St. Patrick's, Dunrobin. Welcome, guys. So let's start to answer our first question. What is the mean price of the t-shirts? Now, at this point, we know that mean has to do with average. And we also know that there's a basic way to calculate mean and average when you are given a list or a set of numbers or values. So I see Kemar Mulling saying the mean price is $13. Give us a little more on that, Kemar. What did you do? Cooking Video with King says $15. How did you come up with your calculation, your responses? What did you do? What sort of calculation did you do to come up with those answers? All right, so I'm waiting to see an explanation leading up to your answer. All right, Jayla Marie says her answer is $13. So she added the prices, $15 plus $13 plus $9 plus $15, and she got $52. So she divided 52 by 4 and she got $13. I see Dejanay coming in with something similar, and Chrissy K. So 15 plus 13, let's see what that will be, because I need to ensure I know the correct calculations here. 15 plus 13 plus 9 plus 15. Let me see what the sum is going to be like. And for those who have not yet calculated this, go ahead and do your calculation and tell me what is the sum of these four values. So 5 plus 3, 8. 8 plus 9, 17. 17 plus 5, 22. So that's 2 ones and 2 tens. Now adding the tens, 2 plus 1, 3 plus 1, 4 plus 1, 5, 5 tens, which means this is $52 in total. And since we're finding the mean, we know that after summing all the values that we have, we now need to divide by the number of values that we added. So that would be 52 rather, divided by 4. And let's go ahead and divide this. So 4 into itself goes 1 time, 4 into 52, so 4 into 5 goes 1. And then we have a remainder of 1. 4 into 12 goes 3. And so we will have 13. The mean price is $13. Let me see if we see that in the options. All right, and we do. So that is at option B. All right, and I see that all of you, or many of you, would have come up with this answer. All right, so very well. The answer, the mean price of the t-shirts is $13. Brilliant. Now let us move on to question 2. Which list orders the number from least to greatest? Which list orders the numbers from least to greatest? So we know least having to do with the smallest value, and greatest having to do with the highest value. So we're ordering it from in ascending order, from least to greatest. All right, so in doing that, we have options A, B, C, and D. And in each option, we realize that we have responses, we have values, both in decimal as well as in fractions. So tell me, which of these do you think is listing the numbers from least to greatest? And how do you know? How did you go about figuring this out? How would you solve this question? And how are you solving this question? So go ahead, make sure you're working this out in your books or your sheets of paper or wherever you're working them out. So at least you can go over these questions to refresh yourself. And I see options from A, B, C, and D coming in. However, there are no justifications. There is no calculation. There is no explanation. I have no idea how you came up with these answers. So go ahead. When you select your answer, tell me, how did you come up with that answer? How did you come up with that answer? All right, so I know you are all working this out and coming up with your answer, but justification, guys. How is that your answer? How did you come up with that answer? All right, so let me see what we have here. All right, so Space Storm is saying C because it's 6.25, which is 6 and 25 hundredths. then 6.5, then 6.75, then 6.8. So how did he come up with these numbers? Space Storm, how did he come up with those numbers? Because in C, we have 6.25, 6.5, 6 and 3/4, 6 and 4/5. What happened? How did he come up with those other numbers? All right, now Theorain Buchanan is saying 6.25, 6.5, 6 and 3/4 is equal to 6.75. 6 and 4/5 is equal to 6.8. All right. Now, so Theo Rain is saying that what he did was to convert the remaining fractions to decimal. And that sounds brilliant, right? Because in order for us to go ahead and easily order these, we want to have them in all decimals or all fractions, right? All right, great. So here we have Jayla Marie saying, I'd eliminate D because it started with 6.5. And then after that, you have 6.25 when it said from least to greatest. When half is greater than a quarter, that's good, Jayla. We can definitely eliminate anything that starts with 6.5 because 6.5 is really smaller. So if it starts with 6.5 like B and D, we surely can eliminate these because there is no way we are going from least to greatest, but yet still we're starting with 6.5, which is 6.5, and 6.25 is 6.25. And that means 6.25 must come first, given, well, not first, but it must come before 6.5 because we're listing from least to greatest. Very good. That's good to point out there. Now, as other persons, Theo Rain and some other persons have shared Nikela Garrix, let us go ahead and let us use that way. So we have, first we have 6.25, because we're now going to convert these into decimals. So I see some of you already did that. So we're just going to continue and convert these to decimals. So we have 6.25, we have 6.5, and I'm going to try my best to just organize this so we can see the different place values. We have 6 and 4/5, and 6 and 4/5 as a decimal is what? 6 and 4/5 is what as a decimal? All right, so let us go ahead and we can work that out to see what that would really be. All right, so 6 and 4/5, we're just going to convert this fractional part here, and we're going to divide. So 4/5 is basically 4 divided by 5. So let's just put it over here a little. 4 is divided by 5. 5 into 4, that's 0 times. So we're going to add a 0 to it, and we're going to put a point to show that we added a 0. So we're now going into smaller portions. Then we say 5 into 40 goes 8 times. 8 times 5, 40. And 40 take away 40 is 0. All right. So 4/5 is the same as 0.8. So we'll have 6 as the whole 0.8. And then we have 6 and 3/4. All right. So we're going to do our division there again. 3/4 is the same as, 3 divided by 4. So this will be 3 divided by 4. Help me out, guys. 4 into 3 goes 0 times. We're going to add a 0 here. And because we did that, we're just going to put a point here. 4 into 30 goes how many times? 7 times. 7 times 4, 28. 28 from 30, that's 2. We have a remainder. Let's continue to add zeros here. So 4 into 20 goes 5. 5 times 4, 20. And 20 take away 20 is 0. All right. So 6 3/4 is the same as 6. And 3/4 is 0.75. 75. And now that we have it like this, we can organize them from least to greatest. Brilliant. So here we're looking at it now. We have 6.2, 6.5, 6.8, 6.7. So 6.25 must come first. 6.25 comes first in A as well as in C. Then we have 5, 8, 7. So we know that 6.5 will come next. So 6.25, 6.5 is in A, 6.25 and 6.5 is in C in that order. And what will come next has to be 7.5 because that comes before 80, right? Because we can actually put our zeros here to fill out these spaces. So we can see how many hundreds there are. So 75 hundredths will come before 80 hundredths. And so 6.75, which is the same as 6 3/4. I should have the fractions here so that we are not losing sight of this. 6 3/4, we calculated that. That will come third. So let's see where we have 6.34. So we have 6.25, 6.5, 6 and 4/5. So A is definitely out. Let's check C, 6.25, 6.5, 6.3/4, good. And then 6.4/5. Brilliant. And so C will have to be the correct answer because that one lists the numbers from least to greatest. Brilliant. And I see you guys being very active there in the chat. I hope we all understand what we have been doing so far. But if not, this video will be made available after the live stream. So you can always go back and check your answer and listen to the explanations. Nice. Let's go to the third one. So a salad dressing is made by combining 2 parts vinegar with 5 parts oil. How many milliliters of oil should be mixed with 9 milliliters? How many milliliters of oil should be mixed with 9 milliliters of vinegar? All right, so we have options 2, 3 6/10, 22 5/10, and 63. So go ahead and tell me if salad dressing, because as you can see here, what kind of question is this? A salad dressing is made by combining 2 parts vinegar with 5 parts oil. What kind of question are we seeing so far here? What kind of question is this? How many milliliters of oil should be mixed with 9 milliliters of vinegar? All right. So as you can see, this is a question of proportionality. It's talking about proportion. It's talking about ratio, right? So it's talking about we're comparing parts, one part to another part. So let's go ahead and let us explore this question. What do you think the answer should be for this? Now, I don't want to see A, B, C, or D in the chat. Instead, what I want to see is the answer along with some sort of explanation. All right. So I see answers coming in, but I have no idea how you got them. So could you go ahead and explain to me, how did you get some of those answers? How did you come up with the answers that you have? I will give you a minute to work this out before I start exploring it here, but I love to see what you have done, what you are doing first. So go ahead, along with your answer in the chat, send an explanation or show how you are working it out. All right, so D, Shauna says C, because 1 milliliter of oil is 2.5. Okay, oh, she has retracted that, no problem. All right, let me see. Amoya is showing me a ratio here of 2 to 5. So I want to understand what these numbers mean. Lalaine says 5 plus 2 is equal to 7, and 7 times 9 is 63. Okay, so you say D. Okay, but I'm trying to understand why is it you're using those operations. Me with myself says 5 parts of oil. You need, for every 5 parts of oil, you need 2 parts of vinegar. Amoya says 2 goes into 9 4.5 times. So 4.5 multiplied by 5 is 22.5. All right. All right. So I'm seeing a lot of explanations here. And I realize that once persons are able to come up with one of these options as their answers, they are okay with that. But guys, remember now, we have to think about the question in context. Think about what the numbers mean. And not because we can do a calculation with these numbers, it means then that whatever answer we come up with, once we can do a calculation, and if we get one of these numbers, it means that we have gotten the answer. No. So let's look at this question. Let's break it down. A salad dressing is made by combining 2 parts vinegar and 5 parts oil. So you're making you're making dressing to have with your vegetable salad. And so for every 2 parts vinegar you're putting in, I'm just going to put V right here so we know that this we're talking about vinegar. Vinegar, 2, oil, O for oil. So for every 2 parts vinegar, you have 5 parts oil. That is how you are making your salad dressing. Now, because you need to make more salad dressing this time, we need to know then how many milliliters of oil you should mix with 9 milliliters of vinegar. So if we have 9 milliliters of vinegar, how many of oil do we need? Now, as you can see here, based on the proportion, based on the relationship with the vinegar and the oil will always have a greater amount. So whatever answer you come with, it cannot be anything less than the 9 because the oil should be more than the vinegar that is being used for the salad dressing. So it cannot be anything less than 9. It has to be greater than 9 because 9 is for the vinegar and whatever the amount of oil you need must be more than 9. That is what the relationship has, actually shown us so far. So therefore, answer A cannot work because that is 2, which is less than 9, and 3.6 is also less than 9. So B cannot work either. If you have thought about those numbers, guys, those cannot work because if you look at the relationship between vinegar and oil, it means that to make this salad dressing, you must have more oil than you have vinegar. So if we have 9 milliliters of vinegar, we need to, this too should be a question mark. I keep doing that. So we need to ensure that we have more milliliters of oil. So let's look at this. So for every 2 vinegar, we have 5 oil. All right. So that means then every 2 parts in this 9, let's see how many equal parts of 2 we can get from this. So 9 divided by 2 is going to be what? What is 9 divided by 2 going to be? If we divide 9 by 2, because we need to see how many groups of 2 we can get from this, so we can know how much oil we need, right? So 9 divided by 2 will give us what? That will give us 4 and a half, or 4.5. All right, great. Thank you, Amoya. So in order to know this, so that means then we have 4 groups of 2, and for every 2, we need 5 milliliters of oil. And so here, we now have to multiply 4.5 by 5 to see how much oil we need with that 9 milliliters of vinegar. So let us go ahead and do our calculations here. So 4.5 multiplied by 4.5 parts multiplied by 5 of oil will give us what? Go ahead and do your calculation. So here we have 5 multiplied by 5, and that will give us 25. So that's 5. We're going to disregard this point here while we're calculating. So we have 5 and we have 2 tens or 2 ones basically of what we're seeing here. 4 times 5 is 20 plus that 2. That will be 22. And since we have 1 decimal place, it means that we have 22.5, right? So for every 9 milliliters of oil, we need 22.5 milliliters of, for every 9 milliliters of vinegar, we need 22.5 milliliters of oil. Now, let me know if you have done similar calculations and if you have come up with this. Because in order to figure out how many milliliters of oil is needed, we have to see that we have to look at the first relationship that says 2 to 5, and then we have 9 to what for this one. We need to see how many equal groups of 2 we can get from this, so we can keep matching that with the amount of 5 we need. Because for the first group of 2 you can get from 9, that means we need 5 milliliters of oil. For the next one, we need another 5, so that's for 4 to say 10, and we will continue that sort of relationship. All right, so it means that our answer has to be 22.5. It means therefore that our answer, we need 22.5 milliliters of oil to be mixed with 9 milliliters of vinegar for this salad dressing. Now, Kamar, no problem if you did it another way. Once it is that you are able to come up with your calculation and you can use that same method in another way and you still come up with the correct answer, it's a good method and you can stick with it. Let's move on to our next question. So when n is equal 11, what is the value of 10? Take away n plus 6 and pay attention to those braces, these parentheses, these brackets. So you know that we're going to work the brackets first, or in this case here, we have n is equal to 11. And so for everywhere we see n, we're going to substitute with 11. So what is the value? Look at the answers here. We have A, -7, B, 5, C, 7, and D, 27. Go ahead and tell me how you'd solve this and what your answer would be. All right. And I must commend you that you're doing great so far. All right. So if you say C, how did you come up with that? All right. Go ahead and tell me, how did you come up with your answers for this question? So I see you guys saying A, I'm seeing some person saying B, and so on. But how did you come up with your answer? That's what I want us to talk about. How did you come up with your answer? Why is A correct? Why is B correct? Why is C correct? Why is D correct? Because you guys would have selected those answers. So why is your answer correct? walk us through. So me with myself says n plus 6 would be equal to 17. Take away 10 equals 7. C, because 11 plus 6 equals 17. 17 take away 10 equals 7. Tanika is saying the same thing. Rajon Campbell is saying the same thing. All right. Nikos Mitchell is saying n equals 11. So 6 plus 11 equals 17. 10 take away 17 equals negative 7. Jayla Marie is also agreeing with the first. All right, set of answers. All right, let us do this together. So I'm first going to be writing out this thing right here. I'm going to write 10 take away. And since n is equal to 11, I'm going to put that here. Then I'm going to put my plus 6. So all I did so far is I've replaced n with 11 because that is the given value. Now, with what we would know in regards to the order of operations in math, we always work the things that are in the bracket first. And so we're going to work the things in the bracket first. So we have 11 plus 6 in the bracket, and that would be 17. So that's 10. Take away 17. All right. 10 take away 17 would be, all right, so it's not 17 take away 10. So since we're taking away a bigger number from a smaller number, we will end up with a negative number. So here it means then that 10 take away 17 has to be equal to what? Has to be equal to negative 7. I think I miscalculated this originally. Or maybe I didn't, I don't remember. So here 10 take away 17 means that 10 is basically a positive number. Negative 17 obviously is a negative number. So it means that you have 10, but you owe 17. So when you're able to pay 10 out of the 17 that you owe, you will still be owing 7. And so our answer is negative 7. So A is the correct answer for this one. All right, brilliant. Very good, guys. All right. All right, so let's look at this one. Molly got a haircut for $25 and she left a $15 tip. What was Molly's final cost? So here basically you can see that this is a question that is looking at percentage. So Molly got a haircut for $25 and she left a 15% tip. What was Molly's final cost? How much did Molly pay in all? All right, let me see what you guys have shared. All right. So we want to see how much Molly paid in all if it cost $25 to cut her hair and she left a tip of 15%. How would we solve this? Now remember, guys, I'm looking for justifications, not just a letter that is representing an answer. I want to see justification. So I see lots of persons saying A. How did you come up with A? Why is A your answer? How did you get A for your answer? So Jayla Marie says she found 15% of 25 and she got $3.75. Then she added that to $25 and she now has $28.75. Let me hear what the others think. Let me hear what the others think, Jayla. I want to hear from other persons so we can be sure of, what the correct answer is, how we can come up with the answer, and so on. So Jayla Marie says D. No, everyone else is saying A, Jayla. Like, why are they saying A? Guys who are saying A, let me know. Why did you choose A for your answer? All right, go ahead. Go ahead and share. All right. So I'm still okay. So let's look at this. So I'm not really seeing much explanation coming in. Let's just go and talk about Jayla Marie's explanation then. She's the only one who shared an explanation. So let's see if what she did is really so. So if it is that Molly got a haircut for $25, $25 for Molly's haircut. All right, and she paid 15% for tip. That means 15% of 25. So 15% of 25 is what? Let me go ahead and check that. 15% is 15 out of 100. And you want to see 15% of 25. Let's see. So we can always do our cross multiplication. So here we've got 25, going to 25 one time. 25 into 100 goes 4 times. All right. So here we are left with 15 times 1, 15. And 4 times 1, 4. So 15 divided by 4. And what is 15 divided by 4? So 4 into 15 goes 3 times. And 3 is the remainder, so 3/4 here. And 3/4 as a decimal is represented. We just worked it out. 3/4 as a decimal is the same as 0.75. So it means then she has $3.75. She paid that for a tip. And since $3.75 is tip and their haircut costs $25, we need to now add the tip to how much our haircut costs. So $3.75. Let us put 0 cents on this just to balance it out. And then we find our sum here. 5 plus 0. That is 0. That is 5, sorry. 7 plus 0, that is 7. We're adding, so we're going to align our decimal points. 3 plus 5, that is 8. And 0 plus 2, that is 2. And so in all, Molly paid $25.75. That is Molly's final cost. So I hope we all answered this question. I hope we can all answer this question. And if you are not able to work it out, because I see many different answers which are not D, so I would like for you to, play back this video at the end and see how it is that we came up with $28.75 for Molly's final cost. Let's move on to the next one. So we're going to use the picture below to answer the question. So here it says, which lists the fraction, decimal, and percent that represents the shaded part? All right. All right. So here we have this model or this figure showing a fraction, a shaded part. And we are to look at A, B, C, and D to see which set of values represents what is being shown in this shape up here for the shaded portion. All right. All right, so let's see what you guys have. Now I see some answers, some letters coming in. I have no idea if you're answering the question before this or this one. So go ahead, guys. I need to know what we're answering to. So first, let us look fraction. What fraction is this showing? What we have 1, 2, 3, 4 parts. And out of the 4 parts, we have 1 shaded. So 1 shaded out of 4 parts. So that shows the fraction, right? So the fraction written as a decimal would be what? All right, so in order to change our fraction to decimal, it says 1 divided by 4. So we can do our division here. 1 divided by 4. 4 into 1 goes 0 times. We're changing our fraction to decimal, and we're going to put a point and add a 0 here. So 4 into 10 goes 2 times. 2 times 4, 8. 8 from 10, 2 times. I'm going to add another 0 since we have a remainder. We're going to continue doing this. So hopefully we will end up with 0 at some point. But if not, we will stop if we realize that the decimal places keep repeating. 4 into 20 goes 5 times. 5 times 4, 20. And 20 take away 20 is 0. So good, nice. So it means then that a quarter written as a decimal is 0.25. And now 0.25 written as a percentage, because we know that percentage has to do with out of 100. And 0.25 is the same as 25 hundredths, which is 25 out of 100 written like this. And if it's 25 out of 100, this is telling us that this is 25%. So the 3 ways to write that is a quarter, 0.25, and 25%. Let's see where that is. All right. All right. So before I actually look to see if the answer is there, Lalaine says the shaded part is a quarter, and we divide that by 100 and get 25%. Then we can convert 25% into a decimal, which is 0.25. Very good. Tisha Nice says she turned a quarter into a decimal, which is 0.25, and then she got 25% because the whole is out of 100. So a quarter of 100 is 25. Brilliant. Tracy and Plummer is also sharing the same thing. So is Tyrese. And I see that many of us, we are doing the same thing. And so, yes, you have done well. You have done well. And so the correct answer is B, that shows a quarter. 0.25 and 25%. Nice. Let's look at this other question. It says, James has a collection of 100 comic books. He sells a quarter of his collection. How many comic books does James sell? No, this is easy cheesy, right, guys? Go ahead and put your answer in the chat. Let me not see any A, B, C, or D because we just used those for the previous question. So go ahead and write how many books James sold. All right, so all right, Lalene is saying for the previous question, it is like ratio. It can be written in 3 ways, right? Many numbers can be written in many ways. All right, so that is really good to note. All right. All right. Okay, brilliant, nice. All right, so now I see persons answering this one and they're saying 25 books. But guess what? We just worked out what a quarter of 100 is, right? Because if he has 100 books, 100 comic books, and he sells a quarter of that, that is 100 divided by 4, right? Or we could just say 100 times a quarter. We can do it either way. You know, what I would love to see you guys do here is to just write it in the simplest form. So because it would turn out to be 100 times 1, which is 100, and 1 times 4 for the denominator would be 4, and we would end up with 100 divided by 4. So now we can do our calculations. So in doing our calculations, we want to see what is quarter of the 100. 4 into itself goes 1 time. 4 into 100, so let's go 4 into 10 goes 2 times, and the remainder of 2, 4 into 20 goes 5 times, and so this would be 25 books. All right, so if you said 25 books, my dearies, you are correct. Brilliant. And I see Jaquan giving me a lovely explanation here. So is Lalane and Tiana. All right, and definitely, let me go ahead and read some of these. So Jaquan Wisdom says, to find a quarter of a number, you divide the number by 4. So 100 divided by 4 is 25. Brilliant. Tiana is saying the same thing. Lalane is saying we must find a quarter of 100, which is 25. So he sold 25 of his books. Nice. And Rajan is saying a quarter of 100 equals to, look at that, you said 24. Oh, I think that must be typo, because 4 into 100 goes 25 times 1 times, so 25. Nice, lovely. All right, guys, this is good. And I see some fluency here, some procedural fluency. I see you guys using up what you learned in different concepts in math. You're looking at the context. You're doing everything here that is awesome. You're brilliant, and you're coming up with your answers. I'm really proud of that. So here we have another question. Mr. Santos ordered 8 large pizza for a class party. After the party, only 5/6 of pizza of a 5/6 of a pizza sausage of a sausage pizza and 1 3/4 of a pepperoni pizza remained. Which is the best estimate of how many pizzas were eaten? Now I'm going to allow you to take this one away because we looked at estimate just last week. So let me hear what you guys think. Let me hear. What's the best estimate of how many pizzas were eaten? And how would you have come up with your answer? How did you work that out? How did you work that out? All right. So let me see what you guys have been doing here. So we have answers 4, 5, 6, and 7. And all I want is for you guys to tell me, what's the best estimate of how many pizzas were eaten? So 8 large pizzas were ordered for the class party. 5/6 of a sausage pizza was left. 1 3/4 of a pepperoni pizza was also left. So we need to know, how many were eaten. All right. So I know you're working out this one. So go ahead, but it's talking about estimate. So it's really good for us to, like look at it. And when we talk about estimate, rounding will also, be something that we are going to look into when we're estimating. We can think about rounding. Estimate is always about very similar to rounding. All right. So if we have 8 pizzas, let me just go ahead and have that right here. We have 8 pizzas, and how many are left? So here now, after the party, we have 5/6 of a sausage pizza left. Is 5/6, what can we round 5/6 to? If we have 5/6 here, 5/6 is 5 out of 6 parts. That means we can round this up to 1 whole, right? Yes, man. So we basically say we have 1 sausage pizza left. Now, let us look at the pepperoni pizza. So I'm going to take out this one that is left. And then here we have 1 3/4 of a pepperoni pizza also left. So I'm going to take out this 1 3/4. If we round that, that is about 1, right? 3/4 is close to 4/4. So we can round that out and say about 2 pepperoni pizza were left. And so if we do this sort of calculation, we have -1, -2, -3. So 8, take away 3, the 3 pizzas, about 3 pizzas were left, means that we're left with 5 pizzas that were eaten, right? So that means they ate 5 pizzas. We're estimating. We don't have to do any calculation. It's an estimation we're doing. We just need to round up, round down, round, and so on, and then we do our calculation. So if about 1 sausage pizza was left and about 2 pepperoni pizzas were left, that means those 3 pizzas, when taken out of the 8 pizzas, it meant that 5 pizzas were eaten. Brilliant. Nice. All right, and I see persons. Let me see what Jayla Marie thinks. So Jayla Marie went ahead and she did exact calculations. So Jayla said that she worked, this is a decimal, so 5/6, 0.83, and 1 1/4, 1.25. And then she added that and she got 2.08. And then she subtracted 2.08 from 8. And she got 5.92. When she rounded that, she got 6. Now, the point of estimating in questions is also for us to not quite be doing exact calculations. And so, yes, we would be doing some rounding. We're rounding up, we're rounding down. So we're rounding each fraction to the nearest whole. And that is what we did here. So yes, you would have done your exact calculations and you would have got 5.92. I'm not sure what that is at this point, but you would have gotten 5.92. And you're now able to round your answer and estimate something. So you can say the best estimate is 6 because you did your calculation, but without calculations, your best estimate will have to be 5 because we're rounding what these things are. So we're not calculating, we're estimating. And so we would have to stick with the correct answer to be 5. We estimated 5. We didn't calculate and got 6. Nor 7 nor 4, but we estimated and we got 5. All right. Now it's brilliant that we're able to calculate all of these, but it's also important to look that we're asking about estimate here. Let's go ahead and do a best estimate. All right. All right, so let us move on to our next question. All right. All right, and Jessica here is explaining that 1 3/4 pizza is about 2 pizzas and 5 6 pizza is about 1 pizza. So 1 plus 2 is 3, 8 take away 3 is 5, and so on. All right. Now, guys, do not be dismayed. There are many more CBT practice lessons that I would have done. You can go ahead and continue practicing. Go through all those items so you can be sharp for next week when you are completing your exam. All right, so I see some persons saying that this question is confusing, so I'm going to quickly run through this one again. All right, so here we have 8 large pizzas. Mr. Santos bought 8 pizzas for the class. So imagine that you buy 8 pizzas for class, and after the party, you realize that a sausage pizza is only 1 piece was taken out from the 6 slices. So we have 5 6 of that left. So basically, we can say that sausage pizza was barely touched. So you practically have a whole sausage pizza left. We're rounding because we're estimating. 1 3/4 here says that, okay, we have pepperoni pizzas as well. And 1 whole pepperoni pizza that wasn't touched at all was also left. Along with that, about 1 sausage pizza. And we have 3/4 of that pepperoni pizza. So perhaps it was cut in 4 or 8 parts. And say if it was cut in 8 parts, about 2 slices were taken out. And you can say, as an estimate, that pizza was barely touched as well. So you can say, okay, we have about 1 sausage pizza left and we have about 2 pepperoni pizzas left. We're estimating. And so if we're estimating, we're basically doing some rough calculations. So we have about 1 sausage pizza left and we have about 2 pepperoni pizza left. If we have 5 pizza that were ordered in the first place and we have about 3 pizzas left, it meant that they would have eaten about 5 pizzas. We're talking about estimate. So any answer we have is going to be about this, about that. It cannot be a set answer because we are rounding off. We are estimating. Let's look at this one. We're going to use this picture to answer the question. All right. So, all right. So we're going to use this picture below to answer the question. What is the volume of the rectangular prism? Now, should we know at this point in time how to calculate volume? Can you tell me how to calculate volume? We have this rectangular prism, also known as a cuboid. How will we find the volume? Because that is what we're trying to find here. What is the volume of this rectangular prism? All right, so let's go ahead and let's talk about this briefly. How do we find the volume of a rectangular prism, aka cuboid? So I see Michaela Garrick's coming up with answers already. But I mean, we need to know how to solve this, right? That will help with our justification. I see Shanieka says we multiply the length by the width by the height. So I'm going to say we multiply, I'm just going to call this the length because any dimensions by the width by the height, right? So we know that the length says 4 centimeters. The width is 9 centimeters. And the height is 2 centimeters. So if we go ahead and we do our calculations here, we can come up with our answers, right? So let's go. 4 times 9. 4 times 9 would be, I see Tracy and says 36. 36 times 2. And she also did that part, which is 72. And we know that volume is calculated and is represented in cubic units. In this case, we have cubic centimeters. So this would be 72, 4 times 9 times 2, 72 cubic centimeters. All right. Put that little tree up top. So do we have our answer here? C, definitely. Brilliant. All right. All right. Big up Ali Bless, welcome. Thank you for encouraging the students. All right, guys. So we have 72 cubic centimeters here. So the correct answer is C. All right. Yes, Dishane. So Jayla Marie, I believe you guys are disputing whether length and width and breadth and height and all those things. Remember now that all the different measurements here, all these lengths are basically lengths. We're just giving them a name, length, breadth, height, width, and all those things, depth in some cases as well, to differentiate from the different lengths that we're talking about. So once we're calling one length, width, height, breadth, depth or whatever, the point is that we will be multiplying, finding the product of these 3 different dimensions. All right. All right. So let's look at this one. What is the value of y in the equation y quarter or y divided by 4 equals 8? What is the value of y here? All right, so we have answers 2, 4, 12, 32, and we want to know what is the value of y. Now, guys, go ahead and put the answers. That means I'm talking about the numbers in the chat and not the letter representing the answers, so that I know that we are now at this question. All right. Because there are persons who are just joining and they are watching from the beginning. So they're putting in some answers, but we have passed it already. All right. So I see Zarian Wong and Kamar saying y is equal to 32. Amoya says y is equal to 32. You would multiply 4 by 8 and you would get that. All right, nice. All right, let's think about that y being equal to 32. Basically, whatever y is, when we divide it by 4, we must get 8. And if we're going to divide a number by 4 to get 8, in order to figure out what the number is, we can use inverse of operation. We divided before to get what our quotient or what this end result right here is. So in order to get this missing number, we do the inverse and we can multiply this denominator here, or we can call it the divisor. We can multiply it by our quotient, and so we will get this dividend. So here you're saying 32 is the value, or y as the value of 32. So 32 divided by 4 would be equal to 8. Because you can definitely do cross multiplication. That is doing the inverse to figure it out. And I realized that we don't have much work to do with this one because you all are ringing in that the answer is 32. Now, Jayla Marie explains that because it is separated by a vinculum, which means we are to divide. And when we divide 32 by 4, it is equal to 8. All right, nice. All right, thank you for that explanation. I'm seeing Tisha Niles Sharp saying that she multiplied 4 by 8 and she got 32. Good. Kemar Mulling says 4 times 8 is equal to 32. So 32 divided by 4 is 8. Lovely. I'm seeing Nia saying she got 32 because y divided by 4 is equal to y divided by 4 equals 8. So I reversed it and multiplied 8 by 4 equals 32. Good. Inverse operations. Nice, lovely. So our answer, our correct answer would have to be, the value of y has to be 32. Nice. You are doing well. Let's move on to our next question. Owen has 1.5 liters of fruit punch. He pours the punch into glasses that hold 125 milliliters. How many glasses can Owen fill with fruit punch? I'm going to leave this up to you, because by now I know that the stars that you are able to answer these questions in just I know. So Owen has 1.5 liters of fruit punch. He pours the punch into glasses that hold 125 milliliter. How many glasses can Owen fill with fruit punch? Let's look at that. All right. So go ahead, let me see your answers coming in. All right, so I see persons putting in numbers, but I have no idea if we're talking about here, because these answers have 125 glasses, 12 glasses, 24 glasses, 48 glasses. All right. Remember, I would love to see some explanations here as well, or calculations that would help us to justify. All right. All right, so I see answers coming in, 12 glasses, but how did you get 12 glasses? I want us to talk about that. All right, so cooking video with King says his answer is B, because you divide 2 by 125 milliliters equals 24.1. I'm not sure I understand. We divide 2 by 125. Make your explanation a little more precise, King. Amoya says 12 glasses because 1.5 liters is 1,500 milliliters. Since you would have to convert it to 1 unit, and you would then divide 1,500 by 125 and you get 12. Now, I love this explanation here, Amoya. So first, we want to ensure we have 1 unit. Whether we're going to use liters, whether we're going to use milliliters, we need to have 1 unit. All right, so here, Amoya explained to us that 1.5 liters, because 1 liter is what? 1 liter is how many milliliters? 1 liter is 1,000 milliliters. All right, so here Tamar Johnson is saying 1,000 milliliter makes a liter. So 1.5 liter is 1,500 milliliters. Very good. So we have 1.5 liters equal to 1,500 milliliters. And that is very good to note. So now we have the amount that can hold in a glass in milliliters, and we have the total represented in milliliters too. So since it is that, Each glass can hold 125 milliliter. We need to see how many 125 milliliter we can get from 1,500, right? So we can go ahead and we can do our division. So you can do your division. I see Nadia Harris, and I see Jessica, and I see many other persons doing their calculations. Like for me, these are very big numbers. And so I kind of like to use a different method in working this out. And of course, you can come up with your way, your easy way of working it out. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to work it out my simple way. So if 125 is one glass, it means that 125 plus 125, that's two glasses, and that is 250. So two glasses is 250, and 250 plus 250, that is 500. So it means that in 1,000 milliliter, I should have 8 glasses, right? In 500 milliliter, I would have, let me see, I would have 4, and in 1,000, I will have 8. And so that is how I worked mine out. You guys can do it the same, and you can use your long way of dividing 1,500 by 125. And so I came up as well with 12 glasses. However you work it out, fine. For me, I kept adding 125 milliliters. All right, so here I'm seeing Tisha Sharp. She's saying that she turned her 1.5 liters into milliliters, and then she divided by 125 milliliters, and she got 12 glasses. Good. Arlene Gray says 12 glasses because 1,000 milliliters is 1 liter. So 1,000 milliliter divided by 100 milliliter equals 8, and a half liter is 500 milliliters. 500 divided by 125 is 4, and 8 glasses plus 4 glasses is 12 glasses. And that's how I look at it too, Arlene Gray. But no problem. You can use any way you guys are comfortable with. Great job. So yes, we will end up with 12 glasses. And we are winding down to the end of our session. All right, so the correct answer here is that Owen can fill 12 glasses with fruit punch, given that he has 1.5 liters of fruit punch. All right, so this question says, which step will solve the equation x plus 8 equals 12? Which step would solve that equation? So I want to hear from you guys. Which step would solve this equation? All right, so for the first option here, we have add 8 to both sides of the equation. We have another option that says subtract 8 from both sides of the equation. We have C that says add 12 to both sides of the equation, and D that says subtract 12 from both sides of the equation. Of course, you can go ahead and you can try to see which of these would solve it. You can go ahead and put in all of these explanations, or put them into practice, or put them into order, apply them to x plus 8 equals 12 to see if you can solve that equation, as well as if you understand algebra to a certain extent, you would know from the get-go which one to use. Now I'm seeing here, Amoya saying subtract 8 from both sides of the equation. Now let me see what others are saying. So I only see Amoya here sharing this part here. Now, there are different ways that we can solve an equation like this, all right? So first, we can look at this one, A, add 8 to both sides of the equation. If we add 8 to both sides of the equation, we will end up with plus 8 here and plus 8 here, which would mean x plus 16 equals 12. But that did not eliminate anything on the side of the variable, which is the x. So this can't work, right? If it is that it did not the numbers weren't eliminated and the X was remaining. We can't work it like that then. So let us go ahead and look at B. B says subtract 8 from both sides of the equation. So let me go ahead and subtract 8 to see if that will work. All right. So let me see. So 8 from 8 is 0. So 8 take away 8 is 0, because a negative and a positive, once it's the same value, the same number, it gives us 0. Like a positive 2 and a negative 2 is equal to 0. A positive 5 and a negative 5 is equal to 0. And here a positive 8 and a negative 8 is equal to 0. It's called zero pairs, but you learn more about the term in high school. So don't worry about the term so much. So these two here will eliminate each other and we'll end up with only X on this side. And since we have 12 on this side, take away 8, it would mean that on this side, put our equal sign, 12 take away 8, we will have 4. But we were able to just get X by itself, the variable alone, because we're solving to find the value of X. And so you would realize that B makes more sense than A. But let's look at C. Add 12 to both sides of the equation. Like if you add 12 to 8 over here, you'll have 20. X plus 20, you did not get X by itself, so that would not work. And if you subtract 12 from both sides of the equation, it still will not work, because now you would end up with a number, a value here and not 0. And so that would not work. And if you look at it pretty close, let me read some of these explanations before I go to the final answer. Rajon says if you subtract 8 from 12, so that is 4. So it is 4 plus 8 equals to 12, so X equals 4. I'm seeing, okay. Let me see who else has an answer here. Tiana says B, because X plus 8 take away 8 equals 12 take away 8. That means X equals to 4. Kalia King says you would subtract 8 from both sides of the equation, because whatever you do, the opposite operation to find the unknown. And I love that you actually brought that up, Kalia. Yes, we are going to be looking at the opposite. Using the opposite operation with the same number will definitely cause us to eliminate these values here and end up with just X. And so our correct answer for this one is B. We subtract 8 from both sides of the equation. Now we are at our final question for today. Guys, you have done brilliant. And we're at the last question for today and the last question for the season. All right. And before we start to explore this last question, I want to continue to encourage you to do some more practice. I mean, the exam is in next week. Continue to do some more practice. Remember as well, there's a curriculum-based task folder on my channel. You can always go click on it and you can go over some of those items and be prepared for your exam, which is to come next week. Based on these sample items that you would have seen from the ministry, you would realize that there will be questions coming up with statistics. That means we're talking about mean, mode, and median. You also realize that there are usually questions coming up for us to interpret, say, a pie chart or a graph, a bar graph, and we answer questions. You realize that some of the questions are algebra, where we're substituting a value with a number and solving to get the answer. You realize that you realize that some of these having to do with stem and leaf plot. So go ahead. I have questions in the other videos that you can go and you know, explore, and so you can understand stem and leaf plot better as well. So you realize that in some of those sample items, these are kind of things that are coming up. They're also asking questions in the sample items that were sent from the ministry. They're asking items where you have different graphs and you are to select a graph that matches a particular data, maybe in a table or a list of items shown somewhere else, you know. So these are regular questions that are coming up. So do your practicing. I have many different items on these different topics in the past videos. Go ahead and watch them. All right. Now let us look at the last question. It says to use the expression below to answer the question. Now you realize that this one has 6 options as answers. We're going to select all of the expressions that are equivalent to this expression shown. So here, yes, thank you, Miss Nelson. Miss Nelson here is a teacher as well. She's a grade 6 teacher. She's here as Ali Bless, and she knows these kind of things. Pattern most is always, we have pattern questions we're finding next in series. Those are some items that are coming that we saw. I'm not telling you what are coming because I don't know what are coming, but those are part of the sample items that were shared with us. So you would realize that we have a number sequence, we have patterns, and those are some very popular items that are coming as well in the curriculum based on the sample items that we have received. Okay, so go ahead and continue with your practice. Now, for this one, I see persons are already giving answers, but as usual, I like to know how you came up with those. So we're going to select all the expressions that are equivalent to the expression shown. We have the expression 5x plus 3, open bracket, 2x, take away 7, close bracket. All right, so basically the expressions here as the answers, the options rather, because not all of them are correct answers. We're selecting only the ones that can be, that are equivalent to this expression. Basically, if we are working out this expression here, which of these other expressions could we come up with? Which of these are equivalent to this? Which of these expressions here are the same as this one? All right, so we're going to go through this one bit by bit. So we have, remember that, let me just write it back here. So we have 5x plus 3, open bracket, 2x, take away 7. Now, when you look at the item like this, especially when you look at the part with the brackets, this number that you have immediately out of the bracket, it means 3 times the different values in the bracket. And so we will be multiplying 3 times this number, and we'll also be multiplying 3 times this number. All right, so we're going to do that for one expression and see how we can figure this out. So we have 5x. Let's rewrite that. And remember, we're gonna work the bracket first as well. We're trying to remove the bracket at this point though. So we're gonna multiply 3 times 2x. What is 3 multiplied by 2x? If you multiply 3 by 2x, what will you get? So while you work that out, let's just go over this again. We have been given the expression 5x plus 3, open bracket, 2x, take away 7, close bracket. Now, this number that we have outside of the bracket, 3, immediately outside of the bracket, it has no take away in between, it has no plus in between. It means that we're going to multiply 3 by the different values in the bracket, in the bracket. We have 2x as one of these values in the bracket, and we also have -7 as another value in the bracket, or we can just look at it as 7. But of course, we will put our negative sign before it when we're writing our answers down. So here we are going to work that out. We're going to multiply 3 by these different values and see if we come up with any of the expressions being shown here. All right, so here we have 5x plus, so 3 times 2x. Very good, guys. I see you guys coming in. And that would be 3 times 2, 6. And since it's 2x, it's 3 times 2x. And because we're multiplying, we can multiply a whole number by 1, which with a variable. All right, then we say 3 multiplied by 7. Let's put our negative sign, take away sign because it's there. 3 multiplied by 7 will give us what? That will give us 21. All right, let's see if we have any expression that says 5x plus 6x equals 21. All right, so let's look. Here we have 5x plus 6x, take away 7. That won't work. 5, because the reason we cannot keep 7, because we need to multiply this 3 by the 7 as well. 5x plus 6x, take away 21. Yes. So E is a possible answer. E is equivalent to the original expression that we got. But now that we have this, can we go ahead and simplify this a little more? 5x plus 6x are in the same family, right? And so we are able to add 5x and 6x. 5x plus 6x will give us what? All right, so 5x plus 6x will give us 11x. And of course, we cannot operate, we cannot say 11x and take any 21 from this, because 11x is in one family of the x family, 21 is a whole number. So we're going to write it just as is here, 11x take away 21. Let's see if we see any expression like this. So let me go. 11x take away 7. Remember, this can't work because we would have had to multiply the 3 by the 7. 11x take away 21. Here we go. And we found it here at C. I hope you're following me so far. All right, guys. Hope you're following me so far. Now, let us see if we can find anything else from this. Now, this cannot be simplified any further. But if you look at what is happening up here, we could have written this in a different way. So the different way that this could have been written is this. If we're let me just go ahead and start by writing 5x plus, if we're going to multiply 3 times 2x, it means that we're basically adding 2x 3 times, right? When we're looking at repeated addition, it's really multiplication. So it means that we could be multiplying, we could be adding 2x 3 times. So instead of having 3 times 2x, we would have had 5x plus 2x plus 2x again plus 2x again. And of course, we could go ahead, of course, and be writing our -7 3 times as well. But let us look, let us stop right here and let us look to see what we could possibly have. So we have operated on this part. 3 times -7 will give us -21. We already calculate that part, so we know. Let us see if we have an answer that looks like this. So not this, not this. 5x plus 2x plus 2x plus 2x take away 21. This as well is a possible answer. And of course, if this was a take away 7, take away 7, take away 7 3 times instead of the -21, that would also be a possible answer. All right, guys. So I hope we understand what is happening here. I hope we understand the discourse that we just had, because the equivalent expressions would be 11x take away 21, 5x plus 6x take away 21, 5x plus 2x plus 2x plus 2x take away 21, Or it could be 5x plus 2x plus 2x plus 2x, take away 7, take away 7, take away 7, but that's not there. But I'm just explaining further for you to understand what the equivalent expressions to this one could be. All right, someone asked about what about A? How did you get A to be a possible answer? So let us look why A could not have been an answer. How would A have been an answer? I'm trying to figure out 10x take away 10. 10x, where would we have gotten 10x? And 10, where would we have gotten 10? Are we going to say, what are we doing? We're adding, I'm not understanding. How would we have gotten to 10? So I'm not really seeing any mathematical function or anything here that would lead us to have 10x take away 10. Are we going to be multiplying 5x by 2x? And then we're going to be adding positive 3 and assuming that this is a positive 7 too. I'm just wondering. All right. So when we look at it, we realize that these would not have been equivalent expressions. All right. And thank you so much for your discourse. Once again, I want to invite the PEP 4 students, the PEP 5 students who will be doing their performance task in June to register for classes. These are private Zoom classes by sending an email to primatzoom@gmail.com or sending a WhatsApp message, parents only, to 468-3698. And this is how you can reach me for the registration details, so you can go ahead and register. And there are limited spaces available, so you have to register early. Some of you may send to be registered, but the spaces may be full, and so I cannot admit you to the class. All right. So I hope you enjoyed class today. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up in the chat. Let me know if you enjoyed class. Let me know if you learned something. And let me know if you feel prepared, if you feel ready for your exam next week. All right. I will keep you all in my prayers. And this is the last session. So have a good Saturday. Bye-bye.